So these judges scrolling behind me have been adding words to the law in the court forms intentionally in order to trick parents into signing contracts where they give their child to the state, when they know that this section of law was created to terminate the rights of a parent who abandoned their child. So these parents are signing these orders, and what they do when they sign them is they're agreeing to abandon their juvenile with the state. This used to be allowed a long time ago when this law was first created. It still is allowed today, where a parent who can't afford to put their child through drug treatment, a juvenile, or can't afford to pay for certain things for that juvenile to get rehabilitation, was allowed to give their child to the state in order to get this rehabilitation. Okay, so the state would pay for it. They would foot the bill if the parent agreed to the order. Okay, so the parent's giving their juvenile that's delinquent or defective or whatever to the state. And that's what they do when they sign these documents. These parents are signing these documents that have newborn babies, and their children were removed from the hospital, and they're being told by these social workers that basically they're going to get their kids back one day, right? But every time they sign, they're agreeing to give their child to the state again, another 6 months, and they have no idea that that's what they're signing when they sign it. They think they're just doing it to get their kid back. Okay, these social workers are tricking them into believing, and these judges, that they're going to get their kids back. There is no reunification laws in this section of law, so even if they did give them their kid back, they'd be breaking the law. They can't do anything they're not authorized by statute to do. They can't return the child. They could dismiss the case, but that's all they can do. You don't see any language in there that says return the child to the parent. Zero laws. They know this. The only thing that runs concurrent to termination is adoption. That's it. Reunification goes the opposite direction. Why the heck would it? Excuse me? Wrong answer. Concurrent planning means adoption and termination run concurrently. It does not say anything about reunification. Reunification does not exist under these laws. The child has to be abandoned for 3 months. It says that in number 1 of the definition section. It says it in number 1 for a reason, because that's what defines the whole chapter. It's the only definition there. Child abuse or neglect is defined in a completely different chapter of law, one that they're not allowed to use in the juvenile court. The juvenile court can only operate under 13. It can't operate solely under 26.44. So child abuse and neglect cannot be the reason to take a child. That means no matter how bad a child is abused, CPS can't take the kid. It has to be abandoned. Period. They know that. Abandonment is required. They know that. These judges know exactly what they're doing, but they only do it to children who are Caucasian, so nobody thinks it's a big deal. That's it. That's it. It's been happening for so long you wouldn't believe. Like 20 years, because I've been here for 20 years, okay? And I have court forms from 20 years ago I could show you with the same statutes on them. They've been applying the Juvenile Court Act, which is for juveniles, and they have jurisdiction over the juvenile, not the parent. Okay? Period. They don't kick down doors for a reason, because they're not using the right laws. If they were using the right laws, you would see them battle ram doors for babies. They don't do that. They just come and knock, that's it. And then they have to leave. They can't kick down anything. They count on those schools to manipulate the teachers out of getting the kids from them. That's what they count on. They're not using the right laws at all. None of these kids were abandoned, ever. They know that. These judges know that. These judges know that none of these kids were abandoned by their parents. It says 3 months is required under statute. Number 1. 3 months of abandonment is required prior to filing a petition. They're not lying. The legislator isn't lying. That's what it says. None of these kids were abandoned. Okay? None of them. Not one. They were not abandoned. I was going to explain that they're adding an and or after 3 different statutes in the court forms to be able to trick the parents into believing that they're allowed to do what they're doing. So under RCW 1334-0306, A, B, and C are supposed to be applied together, because there's not an or until after, now D. There's not an or until after D. So A through D is supposed to be applied together, and the legislator just recently edited it. So, I mean, don't you think they would have added the or? I don't even think the legislator knows what they're doing. I don't know if he does, but they just edited it and moved the or down from C to D. So, I mean, do they know that they're actually using these on children that were never abandoned? Do they know these are public court forms? They're on the public website that's created by the Washington Supreme Court. So these judges right behind me are the ones who created these court forms that alter the law. Okay? Does the legislator know that? They should know that these judges write the law now. Yeah, that's what they do. So they can be able to take children from Caucasian people because they think it's funny. Yeah, they love doing it. They absolutely think it's just hilarious, right? They've been doing it for years. They love doing it. They love separating parents from their children who don't have brown eyes. That's what they love to do. Okay, it's fun to them. They've been adding the word and or after RCW 1334 030 6A, B, and C each have an and or after them, and they're pretending they're allowed to use and select from one or the other, when in fact they're supposed to be applied together. It even says that in RCW 1334 130 that that 030 needs to be applied all as one. Okay, that's what it says in the law, and it means what it says. Okay, when the parent signs the document, they're agreeing to abandon their child. Okay, that's the only time they can remove the child from the child's home. Okay, period. That's it. And when they agree to abandon their child, guess what? They're basically agreeing to a juvenile dependency. They know what they're agreeing to. But these parents have no clue what they're agreeing to. And they're basically forcing the parents into rehab when they have no jurisdiction over the parent to tell the parent to do anything, and there's no law under the Revised Code of Washington that forces a parent into rehab. None. Zero. There's no law that forces a parent to take a drug screen. None. Zero. But these social workers have been running around pretending with these cops. You know, these cops are so, oh my God, they gotta go. Okay, corrupt. They are 100% because they're helping these social workers pretend like they have power over parents. Okay, they don't. And they don't do this to anybody but Caucasian parents. Sorry, they just don't at all. So, you know, it's just a fact. It's just a 100%, not in this state, maybe in another state, maybe over there somewhere, but over here, that's not happening. Okay. It's only happening to certain people. So that's why it's not a big deal to anybody but those certain people. And they don't even know what's happening. They don't know, because if they did know, they'd be flipping out right now. They have no clue. I haven't even touched the surface yet, but I'm going to, because I just got a job this week, and you know what that means? That means they're going to be in the millions this week. I promise you they will be. They're going to get a gazillion views, and I'm going to make sure of it. I got a job. Game over. Oh, by the way, I was supposed to tell you what they did with the, hold on, I'll tell you. So physical custody of a child is defined under the law. These judges know that it's defined under the law. They also know that they're operating under a chapter of law that only defines a child that's been abandoned. So they can't remove a child that's been abandoned, right? Because it's been abandoned. That's what dependent means. Why would you have a trial in dependency? Think about what are you having a trial for? Every child is dependent. What is there to argue about? Every child is dependent. So what is there to argue about? Okay, they're pretending like they're allowed to have trials because they want to force these parents into their contracts. Okay, and then once the parent signs the contract, guess what they're signing? They're signing a juvenile dependency. They're signing agreeing to give their child to the state. And the state keeps their child every time they sign. And they wonder why their kid's not coming back. It's because they signed the court order. Never signed the court order. The lawyers that are helping these judges are not good people. They can't be good people. Because look what they're doing. They're convincing parents to sign court orders that give their children to the state. and don't return them because there's no reunification laws under this section of law. It was made to terminate the rights of a parent. They have other laws they could use to rehabilitate parents in family court, plenty of them. And it says that they can, in these laws, it says they can remove the child and everything. They have plenty of laws to do that. In family court, in RCW 26 chapter 26, basically domestic relations, okay? They have the laws they need to rehabilitate parents. They selectively choose the ones whose rights they want to terminate, okay? That's what this section of law was made for. It was made to terminate the rights of a parent. That's what it was made for. And that's what they've been doing. But only parents that don't have brown eyes.
The following list of names are attorneys in the Superior Court of King County in Seattle, Washington, that support the judge's misapplication of the Juvenile Court Act on children that were never abandoned by their parents. These attorneys can read and understand the law. RCW 13.34.00301 says the child has to be abandoned for 3 months prior to filing a petition. None of these children were abandoned for 3 months. These attorneys know that and insist that the parents sign these dependency court orders where they agree to abandon their children with the state, when they know there are no reunification statutes in these laws. John Adams, Kyle Ankeny, Ariel Archie, Maya Bass, Rose Batts, Shannon Blackman, David Bray, Zachary Brousseau, Kyla Autumn Burgess, Chad Cameron, Katie Castillo, Kevin Chin, Brittany Chung, Kevin Cole, Seth Conant, Kobe Cowan, Lauren Cudebach, Samantha Davis, Nicholas Dominique, Taylor Dunch, Charity Edwards, Maxwell Evans, Pandora Air, Katie Farden, Byron Gale, Viviana Gallardo, Nancy Garcia, Pooja Goel, Julia Gregor, Grain Griffiths, Liz Gudgel, Lisa Herbold, Michelle Hull, Patrice Jackson, Diwoo Kim, Kimberly LaFrance, Kendrick Liu, Oleana Mariel, Taylor McKay, Jesse McKnight, Katharina Melgar, Michael Green, Lynn-Marie Nacht, Irina Nikolaev, Alicia Oshner, Zenita Omarovic, Zolan Pantoja Ortega, Dan Pelka, Joshua Poisel, Grace Porter, Zachary Porter, Sophia Posnock, Amber Prey, John Randolph Jr., Juniper Rodriguez, Nathan Rubinson, Stephanie Sellers, Ryan Shanovich, Zachary Smith-Mifsud, Victoria St. George, Eric Tedder, Leslie Valdivinos, Felicia Wartnick, Thomas Wells, Jennifer Woodard, Wednesday Bassett, Jasmine Bates, Carissa Biersto, Samantha Benfit, Tracy Lynn Benjamin, Emily Benson, Jacob Bivens, Zoe Blackburn, Jemiah Body, Valerie Bollinger, Brian Boswell, Jessica Bowman, Alexa Bravo Alejandres, Holly Bray, Clara Breck, Victor Briseño, Monique Britt, Sharima Bryant, Dominique Bucag, Carrie Burgess, Jacqueline Burnight, Chelsea Burris, Amber Burrows, Jasmine Burwell, Catherine Busby, Bethany Bussey, Jasmine Byington, Morena Cabrera, Erin Caldwell, Hannah Campbell, Katie Campbell, Lisa Campbell, Lizette Campos, Rocio Campos, Victoria Cantu, Sheila Carlton, Sarah Carpenter, Penny Carr, Antoinette Carter, Rebecca Karuba, Sonia Carey, Melanie Casco, Senna Casey, Dahlia Casillas, Viridiana Castillo Diaz, Erica Castro, Caitlin Charles, Mona Chatfield, Deborah Chavez, Naomi Choi, Renee Christensen, Heather Chronister, Karen Clancy, Ellen Clark,
John Adams, Kyle Ankeny, Ariel Archie, Maya Bass, Rose Batts, Shannon Blackman, David Bray, Zachary Brousseau, Kayla Autumn Burgess, Chad Cameron, Katie Castillo, Kevin Chen, Brittany Chung, Kevin Cole, Seth Conant, Kobe Cowan, Lauren Kudabak, Samantha Davis, Nicholas Dominique, Taylor Donchi, Charity Edwards, Maxwell Evans, Pandora Air, Katie Farden, Byron Gale, Viviana Gilardo, Nancy Garcia, Pooja Goel, Julia Gregor, Gran Griffiths, Liz Gudgel, Lisa Herbold, Michelle Hoel, Patrice Jackson, Daewoo Kim, Kimberly LaFrance, Kendrick Liu, Oleana Mariel, Taylor McKay, Jesse McKnight, Katharina Melgar, Michelle Green, Lynn Marie Nacht, Irina Nikolaev, Alicia Oshner, Zanita Omerovic, Zulin Pantoja Ortega, Dan Pelka, Joshua Poisel, Grace Porter, Zachary Porter, Sophia Posnock, Amber Prey, John Randolph Jr., Juniper Rodriguez, Nathan Rubinson, Stephanie Sellers, Ryan Shanovich, Zachary Smith Mifsud, Victoria St. George, Eric Tedder, Leslie Valdovinos, Felicia Wartnick, Thomas Wells, Jennifer Woodard, Wednesday Bassett, Jasmine Bates, Carissa Bairstow, Samantha Benfit, Tracelyn Benjamin, Emily Benson, Jacob Bivens, Zoe Blackburn, Jemiah Body, Valerie Bollinger, Brian Boswell, Jessica Bowman, Alexa Bravo Alejandres, Holly Bray, Clara Brecky, Victor Briseno, Monique Britt, Sharima Bryant, Dominique Bukag, Carrie Burgess, Jacqueline Burnite, Chelsea Burris, Amber Burrows, Jasmine Burwell, Catherine Busby, Bethany Bussey, Jasmine Byington, Marina Cabrera, Aaron Caldwell, Hannah Campbell, Katie Campbell, Lisa Campbell, Lizette Campos, Rocio Campos, Victoria Cantu, Sheila Carlton, Sarah Carpenter, Penny Carr, Antoinette Carter, Rebecca Karuba, Sonia Carey, Melanie Casco, Senna Casey, Dalia Casillas, Viridiana Castillo Diaz, Erica Castro, Caitlin Charles, Mona Chatfield, Deborah Chavez, Naomi Choi, Renee Christensen, Heather Chronister, Karen Clancy, Ellen Clark.